Alright, in this video, I want to talk about how the NFL, the National Football League, is actually a depiction of how the world is actually set up and the ultimate setup for the New World Order. You may be thinking, like, what? Just take a look at how the NFL is set up. So, first of all, the NFL is in a shield, right? That's kind of weird. Why is it a shield? Well, you may think of, well, it has to do with the gladiators in the Colosseum, right? They would use shields, so yeah, they got a shield while they're out there, basically in the Colosseums, right? These players are the modern day gladiators. It's like, yeah, but this is also to protect them. This is their protection. Who is them? We're just going to call it the owners, right? The owners of the NFL. They are like the 10 kings of the final beast kingdom, and they give their power over to the beast, or we'll put the commissioner here. And he's the one that they allow run everything, right? And the NFL is a mixture of communism and capitalism. It's both. Where they have a salary cap, right? So they have a minimum everybody gets paid. So this is basically like if you look at the NFL as the world or a country, and the players are the citizens of this country, well then you have a basic, I said that little weird, basic monthly income, right? Because you have the minimum pay amount someone can get paid in the NFL is like, I don't know, 100,000 a year. If you're on like the practice squad, it might even be more than that. So the minimum income here for an NFL player, you got, we'll put 100K over here. So this is like communism, right? They're not really doing much. They're doing the bare minimum, but they get enough money to be taken care of. Like if we made that much, like you and I, at least I assume, maybe you're making that much in your job, I don't know. We'd be fine. We'd be taken care of, right? But it's also, this is the communist side. I don't want to put two M's because then you mix it up with commissioner up there. But this is the communist side. The other side is it has a salary cap, so I have to put cap twice here, right? I'll put cap T. Alright, so this is the capital side where if you're drafted higher, or you work hard, right? You pull yourself up by your bootstraps, then you can make a lot of money. I think there's someone making more than this, but you've got some of these quarterbacks making 50 to 60 million a year. We'll just put 50 million, right? That's a lot of money. That's 100,000s, right? Or 500,000 of 100,000. Something like that anyway. Don't quote me on that because I just did that real quick. I don't know if that's correct. But you see here how if you're in the NFL, you're getting paid pretty good. You're fine. You're taken care of, right? But you have to sign a contract, right? In all of this, there's a contract, right? The social contract where you agree to be governed and you have to abide by the rules of the NFL. This is kind of like the mark of the beast. You want to be taken care of in the league, you have to have that contract, right? You take that mark, well then at least you'll be taken care of, right? At the least you'll have what you need. and there's like insurance and all this stuff, you're taken care of. That's the bare minimum, is you're set, right? Or you can also do the work in the system and make more. If you want more, you can work for it, right? And we see this in the world where you have places that are more communistic, you have places that are more capitalistic, but most places are a mix of communist capitalists where there'll be more capitalistic than communistic, but then there's places where it's more communistic than it is capitalistic. But you see how the world is a mixture of this as well. And ultimately, they're going to bring it all together where it's one system. And it'll do this, what I was saying. You have the basic monthly income, but you'll have to take this mark, right? Your social security number, your ID, your identification, right? You got to prove who you are. So you have to have this contract where you have this certain mark, right? But this isn't just going to be some contract that you sign and you can get out of somehow. You'll always notice how the owners in the league, they can cut you whenever they want, right? But you can't get out of it when you want, right? The fans get upset when the players are like, well, I'm getting screwed here. I want a new deal, or I want out of this deal. I want to be released or traded. And the player is just this evil person. But if the owner goes, I don't want this player anymore, I don't want to deal with this contract anymore, they cut him, trade him, get rid of him, and it's okay. And that's how it's going to be in this new world order, where it's going to be everybody gets this basic monthly income, where you're fine. You're going to be able to have your basic home, clothing, food. You're taken care of, and you don't have to work or do anything, but just be part of the system. Or you can do some work into the system and make money, and then you can get fancier things, right? But you have to have that social credit score, right? You have to abide by their rules. So if you break their rules, they can actually fine you, right? These NFL players, they're getting paid well enough, but if they just don't wear the clothing that they want them to wear, like Bill Belichick, a coach, says like a man should be able to wear what he wants, and I guess he tore the sleeves off his shirt because it was advertising Nike or Reebok or whatever, and so he would tear up the sleeves, and then he started getting fined for it, so he started wearing them. But you see how that's how the system is. It doesn't really care about being an individual and individual freedom and individual rights. No, we have this whole thing set up. You're not doing anything necessarily wrong by you wanting to just be you, but you're coming out of the system. You're doing your own thing. That's a no-no, penalized, right? There's your social credit score, like you have in China, which you're trying to move over here. When you see the NFL, which we think of as American, and think of freedom and all that good stuff, is set up in that same way, and we love it, right? It's the biggest sport in America, most popular, but this is how it's set up, and they have it right there where you take a look at this. We're showing you over here, and you can see there's nothing new under the sun. This is the same way the world is run, how governments are run, and how ultimately, when they bring everything together, that's how it's going to be, right? Everybody coming together. And you'll even see the same thing going on in the NFL that you do see in the world, where it comes down to stuff like racism, right? Where to be the top people making the good money, you had to be a quarterback, right? These are we'll put a crown on here. These are the top guys, right? But it used to be, the only good quarterbacks and the ones that would get paid would be the white dudes, right? But now we're seeing a switch where it's also a lot more black dudes getting in there. Very talented fellas there, finally getting their due. And we see the same thing going on in the world where they're trying to raise up Africa. Recently, I've seen some of these places in Africa pushing off their colonialism. Because for the longest time, I don't think people realize is that a lot of those places were still run by places like France and Germany and what have you, even England. And they're finally saying, no, we're cutting that off. We're no longer going to be connected to them. They're being basically independent and no longer basically colonies. Kind of like the Vietnam War, where Vietnam used to be French Indochina. That's what they called it because it was run by France. But they broke free, and that's a big part of what had to do with the Vietnam War. They were trying to keep their colony and using America to do it. Saying it had to do with communism versus capitalism. Not so much, because France, from the most part, without leeching off of these colonies that it had, wouldn't really be able to sustain itself. Can't even talk today. But yeah, we see the world changing, NFL changing, rules changing, getting a little softer, politically correct, where these players can't. Back in the day, the coaches and players said what was on their mind. Now they can't. A lot of the interviews is basically all the same thing. There's nothing really new or individual or interesting that these interviews. Why they do interviews, I don't even know. The interviews are always like, oh yeah, the team we're going against is a really good team, even though they think they could whip them. Like, this team is poorly coached, poor players. We're going to destroy them. No, they're like, oh, it's a really good team. We're gonna really do our best to take them on and all this and da. They got to give the generic response every time. Oh, you're down at halftime. What do you got to do? Well, we got to start scoring more points and stop them from scoring more points. Thank you. Right? Ask the players the questions. It's always the same generic things. Well, oh, thanks to the good coaching and all this, and my teammates and all that. They don't say anything different. It's just a scripted response. It's why bother wasting our time interviewing when we know what they're going to say. They might word it slightly different, but they're all going to say the same generic nonsense. They're not really saying what they want to say, and they might not even want to talk. Like, the one time we got some individualistic was Marshawn Lynch. That was like the last time, where he says, every time they ask him a question, he's like, I'm just here so I don't get fined. Because he didn't even want to answer the questions. Right? So he was like, I'm just here so I don't get fined. I'm just here so I don't get fined. So he was answering the questions. They don't have to like the answers. But he wasn't going with the script there. He didn't even want to talk to him. So that was the last time we really got anything really of an individual, somebody actually being themselves. And that's why you do the interview. You want to get to actually know the person and their personality, right? But there's none of that really anymore, because it's all just generic. They're all partaking of the one spirit of the NFL. They no longer have their own spirit. They no longer have that individuality, the spirit of freedom given by Jesus there. They got this spirit here of the NFL, which is obviously satanic. I'm not saying it's evil to be part of the NFL, to watch the NFL. I'm saying that the spirit here that the people agreed to, that they can get out of, this is not the mark of the beast. I'm saying it's a type. They can still break free from this, but they have to agree with the spirit, and they have to end up denying themselves and who they are and not be their own individual selves. So they partake of this one spirit. We'll put it in a box, because that's what it does to you. It puts you in a box, and you have to buy into that and can't go against it, or else you're going to get fined and lose your contract and all that. And not only that, there's players that they talk about how they have to, when they join the NFL and all this, especially when they get big contracts, they have to have non-disclosure agreements. So there's things there that they don't want the players or the coaches talking about. I wonder what that is. I wonder what that is that they don't want them to know. Maybe how the system really is, how it's scripted for gambling purposes. Look at this Super Bowl coming up as Eagles, and 3 years in a row, it's the Chiefs. I wonder why that is. See, the Chiefs have to do with, right, the kings. I think there's a message there, right? It's the kings here. The kings keep on winning, and the first time there'll be 3 in a row, right? And people are going to watch, not so much because they want to see the Chiefs win. They're going to watch because they want to see them lose, and they know they can get more viewers to want to see them lose, because that's how they get you caught up, right? This whole divide and conquer. Because that's another point I wanted to make here, is that all these teams here, right? We got the Eagles going against the Chiefs, and we had the Bills and the Commanders just recently knocked out of the playoffs, right? Whatever, you got the Cowboys and the Patriots, naming some of the big teams there. They all seem to be their own individual team, right? But this is part of that non-disclosure agreement, is that, well, because they don't have the salary cap, they all share the revenue. So it's what's best for the league. It's not what's best for the team. Best for the sport is to let the players play, and the better team wins, right? But what's best for the business? What's best for making money? To cause some drama and get the viewers. And having the Chiefs go again, there's people who want to see them win 3 in a row. The first team to ever win 3 in a row. It's history in the amazing career of Patrick Mahomes. And then there's people who were going to be rooting for the Eagles, who are not even Eagles fans, but they just want to see the Chiefs lose. So you got this drama, you're getting viewership. You wouldn't have the same thing if the Bills beat the Chiefs and they win, right? There'd be people who would watch because they're fans of the Eagles or they're fans of the Bills, but a lot of fans who are not fans of those teams, they're not going to watch. But here with the Eagles Chiefs, you're going to get a lot of viewers who are not even big fans of either team. They either hate the Chiefs and want to see them lose, or they want to see some kind of history, or there's, that Taylor Swift is with the Chiefs player there, so that you get a lot of those viewers. So they milk that because it's a business. And like that WWE guy, Vince McMahon, was showing, hey, well, you're getting mad at me because the wrestling is scripted, but we're sports entertainment, where we're not exactly a sport. We're sports entertainment, which means it's acted out. And they were saying that the NFL is no different. So they were like, hey, you want to come after us? You have to go after the NFL. And that kind of got the courts and everything to back off on him. Because it was like, yeah, he's going to expose the NFL. Right? Because there's people who tried to sue the NFL for the calls they made. Because if the NFL is truly a sport, they have to abide by sportsmanship. And if the refs mess up, that can cost people money in betting, the NFL can get sued. But the NFL says, oh no, we are sports entertainment. So they can't get sued for that because they're basically saying, yeah, we can script things how we want. Because it's like wrestling. Yes, the wrestling they're doing is real, but who ends up winning at the end is decided beforehand. Or even maybe halfway through the match, they'll change it. Because like in wrestling, Vince McMahon might be pissed off about something that happened. And he's like, no, we're switching. You were supposed to win, but now we're going to switch it. And then the ref in the ring will tell him, this just came in, you're losing. And he has to play out the thing. There'd be times where wrestlers have in their contract where they can change the script. I remember there was people complaining because John Cena in his contract, he could change the outcome of the match. So he would be scripted to lose, but in the middle of the match, he tells the ref, I want to win. The ref then tells the other wrestler then they have to script it out. Cena wins, right? So that's how it is. A lot of people don't want to admit that, and they bet on this scripted stuff. What are you going to do? It's easier to fool someone than to convince them they're fooled. And it's not that the whole thing is all fake and scripted. All you got to do is script key points. Certain key drives, there's a penalty, or you call something incomplete when it was a catch. These different things, a penalty that happened, you just ignore it. Right? There's all kinds of ways on key moments you don't call a penalty, or you call a penalty, or you have a certain player who's in on it, who say, okay, we're going to throw the ball to you, but you got to drop it. Right? You got to drop it, because this is for the good of the league, the good of viewership, the good of making money for everybody. And of course, the players are going to want to go along with it, even though they want to win, they want to do that. They also I got this big contract because the NFL is growing. It gets more money. That means more money flows to the players. So it's kind of like, all right, well, I flop. Just like in boxing, they really box, but there's a lot of times where it's like, hey, there's betting on you. Everybody's betting on you because you're a great boxer, and they know you're going to win. But you know what? You'll probably beat them in the first 2 rounds, but you need to push it to 5 rounds. So take it easy on them, and in the 5th round, you're going to take a dive, because everybody's going to bet against you, because you'll make more money betting against you. Because if everybody's betting for you and the odds are for you, let's say you get double your money. So if you bet $100, you win $200. But if you bet $100 on the other guy to win, it's probably like 100 to 1, because it's like, this guy's not going to win. And then you can bet it goes more than 2 rounds, because everybody's saying it's only going 2 rounds. It ends up going 5. So you bet the $100, it goes longer than 2 rounds, and that he wins, and it might be 100 to 1. So you just made, what is it, $10,000 off of a $100 bet, where you would have won $200 if you bet where who would have won. So you see that there's nothing new under the sun here. The same thing's done with the NFL, and they've mastered the art of doing it. And it goes on under people's noses, because people, basically, they watch football not because they really love the sport and they're knowledgeable of the sport, in the sense that they understand how penalties are called and what is a penalty and what isn't, and why call these certain plays and why not to call certain plays, like when to run and when not to run. Like, they don't understand all that. They just watch, right? And they want their team to win, right? That's it. They're casual. It's not like they love the sport like a lot of crazy people do, right? So I just wanted to do this video to, I guess it's going longer than I thought, to show how all this is like how the world is, right? It's even the world with the countries and the wars. It's all scripted. Like right now, economies are shaking. Currencies are failing. So countries are getting ready to do what they're going to do, building up for war, building up for change of currency, trying to use more of a digital currency. There's BRICS being formed, a possible North America Union being formed, and it's all scripted up, because when these things happen, the countries can't support their people. So what are the people going to do? If the people at the bottom, like people in the NFL, if they don't get paid down here, what are they going to do? Well, they're going to leave the system, or they're going to come after the kings, the owners. Like, hey, we made these deals, you owe us this money, but they can't pay them because everything fell apart. Well, then what are they going to do? Well, you get the fans to fight the players. Look, the players are trying to destroy the sport you love, right? They're trying to get the fans to turn on the players, right? Something like that. Well, in the world, when the countries, the citizens, which are the ones down here, they try to go up after The rulers, because country's falling apart, what do? They'll get another country. Hey, you're dealing with the same thing? Because the whole world's dealing with this right now. How about we'll break out into a war? Your people, they're angry at you. My people are angry at me. Let's take their anger and pit it against each other. Let's have them fight each other and let them kill each other instead of us. So now you see how this is a shield. You see the shield, it protects them. So you rooting for your team, who is actually, all of these are one and the same, one big team, all playing together. That's how it is with the countries, like America, and we'll put England here, or Europe, versus Russia and China. And they're both saying, yeah, we're having economic issues. Let's schedule the next war here. And then your people here who want to kill you, instead, they'll cause all this destruction here. And they'll kill each other instead of killing us. And then after they've destroyed each other, we got this new system set up. And the people who survive, they're going to thrive in the new system, and they'll calm down. The war is over. There's peace. There's prosperity is starting to come back. There's hope. And now we're still alive, and we're still the owners, and we're still running things. It's the same thing. You even see it with religions. Like, you just switch this up. Let's say you have Catholicism and Islam. Their people are waking up to their bullshit. And instead of them turning on them and cutting them off from their pyramid scheme that they got going to hold up their religious leadership, and actually coming free from their cults, they have them pit against each other, and all their frustration they put out on each other, and let them wear out all that energy, killing each other off. And the whole time, the religious leadership, the rulers, are perfectly fine. Same thing, the owners always win, right? The only way to win is not play the game, not get into the system. Don't take this contract here, and join up. Then it doesn't affect you. You don't have to go along with the nonsense. You can be yourself. You can be free. But you basically sell yourself to be part of it, to make some money. It's the same thing when it comes to these religions and governments. Right? They'll even do it that way too. They'll have the religion and the government fight against one another. Sometimes like a civil war kind of thing, right? To keep the people from actually taking out the leadership. Right? They get you to kill each other when you guys are on the same team, but they divide you up to fight each other to not fight against them. It's this crazy manipulation. Well, how they all do this. I thought there was something else I was going to bring up, but it slipped my mind. Maybe I'll put it in a pinned comment, if you can do pinned comments on all these different sites I post on. But I'm going to wrap it up here. That's it. Thanks for watching. Take care. And please support the channel with your prayers. This can keep going. Giving a thumbs up. Liking the video. Sharing it with others. Subscribing. Hitting the bell icon. Interacting in the comment section helps the channel out. Even if you're just giving a comment to encourage, that's awesome. A comment to disagree, we can discuss different things. That's awesome as well. That helps support, because I know we don't always have to agree on everything to support one another. And if you can and you want to, you can support financially. There's a few ways to do so in the description of the video. And with all that being said, thanks again for watching. Take care and stay tuned for the next one.